Let me give you a little snippet about my guest. Her name is Twana Lawler, and she really has a profound story that heals. This woman has been through it all. She's had experiences with abuse, teen pregnancy, addiction, domestic violence, suicide, sexual assault. And then she's also an AIDS survivor. I mean, just reading the list alone is exhausting. So imagine somebody that has lived through all this. Some people in life may go through one or two, but when you get the whole package, I mean, wow. In spite of all of this, she has put herself to the service of others through her work as a motivational speaker, as a screenwriter, playwright, poet, songwriter, and an author. She's written several books, riveting truths about love and life, and mirror relationships that mirror the trials and tribulations that, she has been through in her life. And she's overcome all of these, and her mission is to heal others. And so going back to the poem or that thought process I was trying to go through, where somebody just gets battered left, right, and center, and yet people who haven't gone through half of what she's gone through are being healed by her. And that's a very special gift to have as a person. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation with her, and we are getting closer and closer to that. So hello.
I'm gonna try to get my headphones. Hold on for a second.
Oh, I can hear you loudly and clearly.
You can hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
Okay, do you need to get your headphones, or can we continue?
I can hear you.
Okay, brilliant. So welcome to the Arts Africa show. It's a pleasure to meet you. How has your week been?
It's been pretty good. Pretty good.
What have you been up to?
I've been writing poems this week. That's what I've been doing. But I'm working on a screenplay.
Oh, wow. What's that about?
The title is Honor to Pledge, the end of the solemn brotherhood. So it's about some these guys that grew up together, went to school together, college together, then they enlisted in the army. So they had some secrets, and these secrets were dangerous. There's one guy who was in the group. He just was so totally different from the rest. He was a murderer. He was selling drugs and all kind of stuff. And they had their secrets. So when you hold secrets like that, they was holding it from their wives and all of that. And one of them became a drug addict. One of them committed suicide. So just a whole lot of stuff happened because they kept it secret. And they shouldn't have done it because a lot of stuff was illegal, selling drugs while they was on the barracks and all of that. So I won a place. It was a finalist, semi-finalist. A few years ago, and so I said I'm going to retitle it. It was just honor. It was Honor the Pledge, and then I changed to Solemn Brotherhood. But I wanted to use both of the Honor the Pledge and Solemn Brotherhood, so that's why I put it together. And then it's Honor the Pledge, the end of the Solemn Brotherhood.
Yeah, you're definitely right about secrets.
Yes.
and the huge impact that they have when people hold it in, and then often, especially within families, and then when the secret comes out, nobody's actually particularly bothered, but somebody has suppressed their whole life, thinking they were doing somebody else a favor by not saying anything. So that's a huge thing. Tell me,
it hurts more.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And then also other people also then feel betrayed because they wonder why you felt you had to hold on to it and you couldn't share. So then another bit of problem comes along.
Yeah, and you're right, because in this script is one of the wives. That's the one, she was pregnant, and she was so devastated that the husband kept that secret from her for all those years, and it was a horrible secret. So you're right about that.
Yeah. we usually, when our guests come on, the first thing we have them do is read something for us, something that is important to them, or and so we're going to start off. Before we get into the conversation, I know you're going to read the Raindrops song. Am I right?
Yes, the Raindrop. Yeah.
Okay, why did you choose this particular poem?
Because when I was going through like the transition from having the disease and the healing part of it, I just thought about the Raindrop song. It just, and I thought about a woman, like a woman, elegant, and she was just like, when she spoke, like I put, the grass got greener at every strand, every step she took, and I just feel like it's for women. Not just me, but I feel like it's for a lot of women, and it's like I think it's empowering, and that's one of my best poems. I really, really like it. I really do.
Okay, then please read it for us.
Okay, the title is the Raindrop song. The Raindrop song.
Mm-hmm.
Like raindrops falling in slow motion, each strike represents her beauty, her style, and her grace. As we look upon her youthful face, her childish giggle is like music to our ears. Aging is something that she does not fear, leaving all that she comes in contact with in a revitalizing trance. The raindrop touches the pistil of her every being. Each raindrop circles her with a vivacious dance.
Mm-hmm.
The raindrop touches the pistils of her every being. A woman of strength is whom we are seeing. Flowers bloom at the touch of her silky smooth hand. With the touch of her foot, grass grow greener with each and every strand. Her days will be full, her life will be long as she sings that lovely raindrop song.
Wow. What inspired that?
I'm very spiritual, so a lot of it, and when I write these poems, I always put a scripture up on it. And on this one, I have from a New International Version, Genesis 9:3. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. And that's pretty much what they're talking about, like togetherness and basically how a woman, because a woman is stronger than what some people think. We're stronger than what a lot of people think. So, and we bring a lot of things together, and we keep the families together. We do a lot of stuff. We are very strong. So that's basically what that's representing, like just women in general.
Mm. Because, this thing of the strong woman, specifically the strong black woman, often when you hear that phrase, it's often about women being strong enough to be putting up with other people's BS.
Yes.
And carrying everybody on our back and holding everything together. And I like the fact that this is about the strength of a woman for herself and not for everybody else, which is what the strength of women, specifically black women, are expected to be strong for everybody else, while we neglect ourselves. And this goes in the opposite direction, which I think is very important, that to be strong for herself more than everybody else around her. Okay, thank you so much. When did you write that?
I wrote this one like in 2011.
Okay.
A lot of poems that I've written, I wrote in like 2001, 2000, when I became a born-again Christian. So that was the first thing I started doing, writing all these poems almost every single day. And then I'm starting to share the poems. So I think I wrote this one like in 2011 when I became out of the sickness, when I was sick, and I started writing again. Because when I was sick, I didn't write. I didn't write it out. Yeah. So.
And so, in a way, would you say that poetry has been part of your salvation?
It's like healing. It's really like healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm sad, I write a poem. When I'm happy, I write a poem. I could be out in the street, look at the trees, I write a poem. Hear the birds sing, and I write a poem. But and that's what these poems are. They heal. That's why I write them. They heal. They call the heal poems to heal the nation. That's what it's a title, and it's a whole lot of poems that I've written all together because I'm thinking about doing a book. With just a book of poetry. I'm writing a book about my life, and I was thinking about having the poetry at the end of the book for like something extra for the readers,
or even a poem to go with every chapter.
That's a good idea.
Because obviously once you write the book, it's going to be a journey, and the journey transitions through different things. So I think the addition of a poem per chapter also gives the idea of the emotional roller coaster that you...
Yes. Wow. That's awesome. That's powerful. Thank you. That is a great idea.
Well, I hope you use it. I hope you use it. Okay.
I'm going to.
Okay. My guest today is Twana Lawler, and she just read a beautiful poem for us, The Raindrops Song, which is one of her many poems she's told us. So, Twana, welcome back again to the show. I hope you heard our music that we were playing.
Yes.
Excellent. So this is, like usually outside of Africa, most of the music that gets out there is usually like Nigerian or Ghanaian, like Afro beats and, that kind of music. So I like to try and find other African music from other African countries.
Oh, okay.
And this one was from Cape Verde. Her name is Myra Andrade. So maybe you might check her out.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a proverb. A woman's strength is a multitude of words. It's an African proverb. And I was reminded of this proverb when I read about you. So tell us about you. Tell us, because so much has happened to you.
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I started when I was 12. My father committed suicide, and I'm the only girl and the oldest, and I have 3 younger brothers. And I was devastated because I was a daddy's girl. Yep. So when that happened, I lost all my faith and just became defiant. My mother had a living boyfriend. I didn't like him, and I was unhappy. So I got pregnant on purpose. I got pregnant at 14. I got pregnant at 14. Yes. And I did.
And how in your 14-year-old mind, what did you think getting pregnant was going to do for you?
I felt like that I was going to have somebody that was going to love me. So I was a child, and I was thinking like a child. I didn't have, me and my mother wasn't really, we got close later on, but we wasn't really close. I was closer to my father. So when he killed himself, it killed a part of me died. And so I felt like having a baby. My mother let me leave her home because I couldn't stand her boyfriend for real. I just couldn't tolerate him. And so, and the thing is, she moved him in. She left my dad. And when she left my dad, she moved that guy in. And that's what really, my dad killed himself like a few days later. So that was traumatizing. I was 12 years old, and it was traumatizing. And I just felt like I wasn't loved, and I felt lonely, and we couldn't mourn our father. And
it's like because my mother, she just moved on so quickly.
Yeah, right. She just moved on. Yeah. And so, just things change, and she ended up letting me leave. I left the home when I was 15 and moved in with my 2 daughters. I had one daughter when I was 15. I had her, and then I ended up having when I was 17. I had another daughter. Because I ended up marrying their dad when I was 16. I got married when I was 16, and I don't advise this to anybody because that was the worst. Even getting pregnant at a young age, because it takes a lot from you. It's your childhood, your youth, your teen years, and I didn't get to go to prom. I didn't get to enjoy things that people my age was enjoying, and my friends, because I was being a mother and a wife at 16.
Wow.
and taking care of a home and doing adult things at the age of 16. So I learned how to take care of myself, and been on my own basically ever since. So I learned how to take care of myself and had to fend for myself because my ex-husband became very abusive.
Can I take you back before your father committed suicide? What were your dreams for yourself?
Before he committed suicide, and I tell everybody this, one day I was spoiled. He gave me whatever I wanted. And one day, one Christmas, he said, "What do you want?" I was always different from kids my age. I think I was like 10 or 11, about 11. And I said, movie projector. And a sewing machine. And he kind of looked like, it was kind of odd for a child asking for a movie projector. I wanted to make movies. And he asked me what I wanted for, and I said, I wanted to make movies. I said, I want to make movies. And he just wasn't getting what I was saying. So he went on and got the movie projector. But he got one that, with the reel, that has the reel under the tape. And I wanted one that you hold in your hand. So, and you just carry it around. And I said to him, I said, I did not want that. And it was on Christmas Day. I said, that's not what I asked for.
It was you wanted a camera, right?
Yes, because I wanted to do movies. I didn't want to sit and watch movies. And that's what that was. You sit and watch movies on that. And so I said, and I told him, I said, plus I don't even know how to work it. And he said to me, and I never forget this, he said, well, you better teach yourself how to work it. And I did. I taught myself how to work it and fell in love with it. I started making clothes, and I was at like 10 or 11 years old. And I started making clothes and everything. And me and my brothers would look at these old movies on this reel. I knew how to take the tape off. I knew how to do all of that. I taught myself how to do that. And that was part of now, and I write movies. And so I think about him now because I'm like, he planted that seed way back then. Yeah. But other things happened in my life that kind of detoured a lot of stuff. Bad things, not good things. Yeah. Bad things. I just had to be strong, for real.
So then you got married at 16. By 17, you had 2 children, 2 daughters, and an abusive husband.
Yes, very.
Wow.
Abusive, jealous, controlling. He made me drop out of school. He was thinking that every guy wanted me. And I'm a kid, so I'm not understanding why he's thinking this way.
How old was he?
He was a few years older than me. Okay. So when we started talking, he was about 16. I think he was 16. 16 or 17, because he was a few years older.
Yeah. I know we're going to talk a bit more about specifically your creative side, but obviously everything led up to that. Our proverb today was, one who causes others misfortune also teaches them. And for somebody like you who've been through what you've been through, why do you think you had to go through this in this particular life? Like, why do you feel, because sometimes people go through a tough time and one of your questions is, why me? Why am I going through this? Why do you feel you were dealt these cards? What was the purpose of it all? How has it shaped you, and how has it shaped you specifically creatively?
Because had been through so much. A normal person would have been on drugs. I never got on drugs, never did drugs. I became an alcoholic. I became an alcoholic until 2000. I became an alcoholic when I was 21 because I was raped. And so that was to me, in my mind, was an outlet. I seen everybody else doing it and smoking cigarettes. I said, well, I'm going to do it. And I thought that was going to take, and it did work for a little bit. I thought it was going to take away that pain and that the way I kept remembering having dreams about that rape. So, that I started writing then. I started writing poems. Before then, I was writing poems. I used to DJ. And so I've always been like creative and stuff. But like I said, the things in life had just took a whole turn for me, and it's really has been a learning situation. And then the stuff I've been through, I don't regret it now. I did at first, and I don't say why me anymore, because I did say that too when I got sick and was on my deathbed. I was like, why me, God? I'm put up with all this stuff and the abuse and the rapes and all this. Why me? Why? am I the one going through this? But I knew I went through it for a reason, because I do help people. I inspire people. I'm a motivational speaker, and I love helping people. So I think this is what it is, and I like got the disease. I learned about that, and and I talk to people about it. And I'm not ashamed of it, and I just learned going through all this stuff, so I don't regret it. If I could turn time back now, I wouldn't have had kids young. I wouldn't have got married young. I wouldn't went to college and live my life like I should have.
I think even, and usually it's like the first step. So that first step of getting pregnant, like as you said, with hindsight, if you've gone back and you've chosen something different, the whole trajectory of your life would have just gone somewhere else completely. It's always that one thing that spirals it. But I mean, obviously you went through a phase of why me? What took you out of that? What took you out of that phase for you to see the light and for want of a better phrase, embrace it and use it to help others?
My faith in God, and my daughters, because although I had them young, they all got college degrees and they got their own places, and they living good. I raised them by myself, and I raised them to be strong women. But when I was sick, they were my caregivers. And when the doctor was saying put her in hospice and she gonna die, my daughters was like no, because they knew my faith. Because I'm a born again Christian, and my faith was strong, was very strong. I had made a mistake, and met this minister and thought he was the man, like he was the one who, my Boaz, my king, and it was not. He was everything opposite, everything opposite. So, but life is a learning lesson, and I learned from all this stuff, and it's just my faith, and that's why I write movies and write plays. It's my faith, my faith in God.
It's very interesting that you went through all these, because somebody would go through all those trials and tribulations and actually move away from God, but you went through them and you went to God. Is very powerful, because usually why me? Why? Okay, I got thrown one curveball. I got pregnant at 15. Okay, you are adding domestic violence on top. Oh, you are adding rape on top. Oh, you're adding addiction on top. Oh, you're, why?
Yeah. And that, I had given my life to God before I got sick. Before I met that minister and everything, I had gave my life to God, because I had got tired. I got tired of drinking, and I got tired of going to clubs, and I just got tired. And when I had a hysterectomy, and when I came home from that hospital, I laid in that bed and I cried out to God and said, please take this pain away. And the pain, not only from the surgery, but the pain of living life. All the stuff I had been through, like the teen mom, because I had 4 daughters. So like being a teen mom and the domestic violence after the first husband, after I left him, he became like very angry and kidnapped my kids. So I had to go through that, and I was mourning my kids, and I was a young mother, but I was mourning my kids, but I fought for them. I fought for them, and I got permanent custody. So all this stuff, and all this is going in my book that I went through, but I stood strong. I never laid down and said I'm giving up. I just been a fighter all my life, because I had to fight. And I tell people that all the time. I had to fight my way through life. And I don't go starting things with people and starting fights, but I had to fight like the social aspect of it, or like the domestic violence and the rapes. Because then I end up, after I was working that first time, the guy came in my apartment and did that. But 10 years later, and that's when I started drinking, but I wasn't drinking heavy. But 10 years later, I was date raped. And when I was date raped, then that's when I started drinking so bad, so heavy that I would black out sometimes. Like wake up in a living room, on the living room floor, passed out, and wouldn't remember what happened. I had a good paying job and everything. I just wasn't happy. I was not happy at all. And when I cried out to God, I heard him. I truly, truly heard him. He whispered in my ear and said, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. And Right then, when I heard his voice, I stopped drinking. It was like I had never even had a cigarette, or a beer, because that's all I used to drink was beer, and it was like I never had that, and I never turned back to it. And it's been since 1999, and I have not done that. I've not picked up a cigarette. I became celibate too. And I was celibate for 10 years. And we'll get to that story. When you ask me what happened when I found in 10 years, what happened, I was celibate for 10 years. And I could have said, God, you're not real. I could have turned my back on him, but I didn't. I did not. My faith got stronger and stronger. But I was depressed. I went through a thing, this very depressed. I just wanted to die.
Yeah.
I was like, I gave up at one point. I did. I was like, I'm tired. God, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, some people would have gotten tired a long time before you got to that, but you overcame that. Tell me, you have a motto: use it or you will lose it. We all have some type of gift. Use yours. How do you translate that for it to be effective to somebody who has carried many burdens and wants to give up? I'll give you an example. I became friends with somebody on Facebook, and he's in Ghana here. We started talking about the economic climate and the fact that it's difficult to find work, especially with the COVID stuff going on. And we'd only spoken once, and the second time we spoke, he then started unburdening himself and talking about wanting to commit suicide and wanting to leave this life because he's worried all the time, he's anxious all the time, he doesn't know how he's going to make money, he doesn't know how he's going to feed his family. And the only thing I could say to him was, please find some help, find somebody who you can talk to. I'm not a disciple of that thing where you tell people, oh, it's going to be okay, because that's not what they need to hear at that time. But how do you translate your motto? How do you use that?
It's a whole lot of things, a whole lot. It just like the poetry, the stuff just comes to me, like because I do write gospel songs, and it just comes to me. Then it's like things I'm going through at the time, or something I have went through. Like I wrote a song entitled "He Whispered in My Ear." That came from when I just told you, when he whispered in my ear. So
it's like your life.
A lot of that stuff is healing.
Yeah. So your life experience drive your creativity.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So now tell me, talk about your creative process, especially when writing. We've had quite a few writers on the show who've talked about their craft and their process, but I'm especially interested in motivational speaking. For instance, maybe you're invited somewhere to speak. When you're preparing to make a motivational speech, when you're preparing to go and do a motivational speech, what's the process from start to delivery?
I'm kind of different. I'm for real. People always say, you don't write notes, because I don't write notes. I'm very spiritual. I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual. So I will pray and I will talk to God and I will ask him, give me the words to get to these people. And I get standing ovations all the time because I'm real. Yes, I'm real. I don't give statistics and all that. I tell real life and like the stuff that happened to me. And, then I put a little twist in it. I may read a poem. Most of the time I do read a poem before I speak. And my daughter, she would pray. And that really gives me that, that strength to get out there. Because people be saying, you don't get scared or anything. And I don't. And I done spoken in front of hundreds of people. And I never got nervous because I love doing it. Because I love to when the people come to me and say thank you for sharing your story. Thank you. I went through that. I was raped, and they were scared to talk about it. They got the disease, and they were scared to share it with their family. And I shared it with my family. I shared it with my daughters. I shared it with my mother, and my aunts and uncles, my cousins. They all know, my brothers. They all know what I had. And a lot of people, because they are ashamed, they won't share it, and they'll keep it to themselves until they die. I know people who have not told nobody in their family about the disease, but I'm open, and I think that's why it's easy for me to speak, because I just go out there and I speak, and that's what I do, and that's what I do. I love doing it. I really do.
So you don't prepare.
No.
Or should I say your preparation is prayer? And your life experience.
And my life experience, yeah.
Okay.
Because I've been through enough, for real. I've been through almost all of it. So when I speak, it's somebody in that audience, at least one person who could relate to something I'm sharing. And then when I speak, I'm kind of like, it's just like who I am. I'm being Twana. I'm not up there trying to be something else. I'm being Twana. So when I talk, I'm telling you, like I say, I can walk and I do a little dance, so, and make people laugh. And I don't be trying to make them laugh, but that's just who I am. That's who Twana is. So, and I think it's just been in me, because I didn't even want to speak. I said, I just want to write and stay behind the scenes. I knew what we doing now, and I was too shy to do this. I didn't want to do any of this. But it was like God pushed me out there. One day somebody contacted me and said, I heard your story. That was in Dallas, Texas. She said, can you come to Dallas, Texas and speak? And I said, yes, and I wasn't nervous. And my daughters kept saying, are you nervous? I just kept saying to myself, God, let me get this done and get it over with. That's why I kept thinking, let me get this done and get it over with, and I make no mistakes, just be there with me, Lord. And I would just think that I would never be nervous, and I just wasn't nervous. And those women, it was like 400 or something women. Wow. And when I was walking off the stage, I had my head down, and I literally heard a voice say, this is what you're going to be doing. And that was never my plan, to be a motivational speaker. I just wanted to write movies and books and poems. That's all I wanted, and stay in the background. I didn't want to be out in the forefront, but I've been in the forefront. I've spoken in churches, conferences, and I love doing it. I do it for free and everything. I just love doing it. I love helping people. I started a publishing company, and I help people that with low income. So right now I'm doing a book for this minister, and some stuff going on that kind of sidetracking me. So. But I got to get it done. But I said, I be telling people, when I tell them I'm a publisher, please don't ask me to do a book for you, because it is tedious. And this woman didn't type anything. She don't know how to use a computer, so she wrote everything. So it meant I had to go back and type it in manuscript form, and then I upload it into a book form and put the book cover and all that. But we had to go back and do some other stuff, and then my mother had a stroke.
Editing and stuff like that.
Yes, had to go back and do a whole lot, and it kind of prolonged me. So then I said, I don't think I want to do this. I'm serious, and I tell people like, can you do me a book? Because I'm good at it, and I love doing it, but it's tedious. It's tedious, and it keeps me from writing movies. I like to write movies and gospel plays, and it's keeping me from doing that. So, but one day I want to have a publishing company. I do. So, and when I can have people working with me and for me, and could get these books done, because I want to help people low income to, I want to charge a whole arm and leg, and you have to mortgage your house and all that. I don't want to do all that. Sell your car. I don't want to do that. I charge her $500 to do this book.
Wow.
And $500. And
that's nothing.
It's nothing. And I took that $500 and put it towards my deposit. I lived in another state. I relocated to Atlanta, Georgia, and that's what I used. I came here on faith. I live in Atlanta, Georgia now, and I moved here on faith because this is where Tyler Perry is. And
yes,
this is where other,
I was going to ask you about him, actually.
Yes, and I'm trying. Believe me, I'm trying. And I tell people, I'm going to do it, because that's how faithful I am. I'm going to do it. I done sent my bio, I got a website. I did my own website. I do a lot of stuff. I did my own website. So I said, when I found out one of my friends live here in Atlanta, and he was telling me, he said, "You need to, Tyler Perry's hiring writers now. You need to go ahead and get something together, get your bio together."
He's finally hiring writers. Amen to that.
This was like, this was like a couple of years ago, and so I kept on applying, and I never heard anything. But I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, so a couple of months ago, I said, "Hold on, now. This human resource is making me think there's no human resources because I'm doing a follow-up. They not replying. I told my testimony. They didn't reply. I'm like, wait a minute. So I said, I got to find another way to reach out. So I called the studio, and it's a recording thing on there, and they said we don't listen to these recordings, and then they say at the beat leave a message, then you listen to it. So I called back to see. I said, if they don't listen to it, it's going to be full, and it never was full. So I said, let me leave a message. And I left a message, and this guy, he's very spiritual. He had told me before I did that. He didn't know I did it. He said, "Tyler Perry gonna call you in May." So now it's middle of May, so I'm sitting here waiting now. So I'm praying. I'm like,
Amen.
Okay. Yeah, so I have faith. I do, and that's why I came here. I left it on the message on the answer machine. I said I moved here to Atlanta on faith. I didn't put my information on the billboard. That's how one of his actors did. One of his shows, he ended up hiring her. I said I didn't do that because I can't afford that. I said, but I couldn't do that. I said, so I'm calling you. I'm leaving this message. Walking out on faith. That's why I put that on there. So I'm walking out on faith. It said y'all don't listen to it, and I shared my story. I said I'm an AIDS survivor. I just shared everything, how I write movies, and I said go to my website and everything. So hopefully he did that. Hopefully he did it, and hopefully I told myself prayerfully. So I'm praying and I'm having faith. Yeah. I had a dream that when I was sick, I had a dream that I had a dream about him. I had a dream about him, Maya Angelou, Donnie McClurkin, and Andre Crouch. Wow. And I never had dreams about celebrities, and they were telling me things. They was telling me stuff like he was training me to produce and direct. That's what Tyler Perry was doing, training me to produce and direct. Maya Angelou was giving me some hecks advice.
Wow, you are really connected to some big people. I wanted to ask you, while you were talking, Iyanla Vanzant kept on coming into my head. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, what about also YouTube? Do you use those, where a lot more people can get your message?
I just started because I'm on just when I moved to Atlanta, I started meeting people. I started networking. Even with the coronavirus, I started meeting people online. Yeah. And so I met this lady. She has this. It's called Her Story. Mm-hmm. And she was advertising on Facebook, so I reached out. You had to do it was a whole lot of steps you had to do. You had to do a video about your testimony, and I did it. And she was like, it was powerful. Yeah. And I did it. I spoke. Now I'm a member of that. I spoke, and they speak all around the world.
That's
they
amazing.
Speak all around the world. We did the first one we did was I'm not got to do one this month, but the first one we did was in New Zealand, but it was on a Zoom, and I met a lady a white lady in New Zealand, and we talked back and forth, email and stuff, and messaging. But when I did that little video, something told me, go ahead and do another video, and so I did. I did a video and telling about me and my story and stuff, and I'm getting views. Getting views.
No, you would definitely, because there are a lot of people who need people like you, in the sense that and even me and a lot of other people I know, watching Iyanla Vanzant's Fix My Life, watching Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith, and the kind of guests you have on who talk about their experiences, we all get a chance to learn, something more for ourselves that we wouldn't have the access to.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, your some of your books have been turned into movies, and you have like big names like Robin Givens who have starred in the remakes of your book. When the book is being made into a movie, how involved are you in that? Are you on a consultant level? How, for them to maintain the authenticity of your work, what is your role that you play when it's translated into a movie?
Well, those 3 movies I wrote those. The gadgets, they didn't come from a book, or some of them was kind of like God's Precious Jewels with Robin Givens. They had this group called Precious Jewels. It was a ministry, and it was for women who went through stuff I went through. So I took my story and used that.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be in a play, but they turned them into movies, and they I threw them into movies. They all supposed to be in a play, being plays, and they turned them into movies. Now the book I'm working on now about my life, that's what I want to turn into a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to turn into a movie, and practically, Tyler Perry can help me.
Yeah. No. Seriously, I think you are. Your stuff is very Tyler Perry-esque, and he really does need to get in touch with you, because I think you can bring a lot of value to what he's doing and a lot of authenticity, because a lot of us also whinge about the the storylines in the movie and stuff like that, but somebody like you could really give him a lot of what he's not having at the moment. My people are telling me that, oh gosh, that the time is up. It's never.
Wow.
Seriously, I have guests that I wish we had like 3 or 4 hours, so that
I know that went quick.
Yes,
yeah.
it went crazily fast. So what I would like to do is, please let's wrap up with what is something important that you've learned in life that you feel it would be important for the rest of us to know and to use?
I always say be faithful. And if you're a Christian, just lean on God, because that's what got me through, for real. That's what.
Excellent.
I shared that story how I was dying, and the doctor said I had 2 weeks to live. And when they said I had 2 weeks to live, I could have said I want to die. I was saying it, but my daughters was like, "Mama, if you die, it's gonna devastate us," because the doctor said I had 2 weeks to live. God didn't say I had 2 weeks to live.
Yeah.
And when this was in 2013, and I'm still here.
And you're still here. And you know what is really interesting as well is, for those of us who don't have that much knowledge, when you hear the word AIDS, there's a visual that you have of what somebody with AIDS would look like, and it doesn't look anything like you. is what I can say. It doesn't look anything like you. And as you said, if you didn't mention it, nobody would ever know. Really, you can't. Yeah. You can't see it.
And I share it with people. I share it with people because a lot of people get depressed when they find out because I did. Yeah. And I know how it feels. I got depressed when I had been celibate for 10 years, and when started getting sick. When I went to the doctor, they said first they kept saying I had kidney disease, lupus, and all that. And I went to a doctor. I lived in California then, and I went to a doctor in Northern California, and she said, "Your symptoms sound like HIV." And I was like, "No, I don't have no HIV. I've been celibate for 10 years." She said, "That doesn't matter." I was so uneducated about that disease, for real, and I just got depressed because 10 years of celibacy, I wasn't having sex. So I'm like, how I have that 10 years and I wasn't really having symptoms real bad. So, and they said it happens. It's rarely it happens, but it happens. And then I didn't take that medicine for 10 years because I was in denial and depressed, very depressed. And I didn't turn my back on God, but I was like you said earlier, why me? And he said, why not you? That's when I had to wake up. When he said, why not you? I had to wake up, and then I had to forgive, like the guy who gave it to me and all that. Then he was telling me I had to forgive myself because I hadn't forgiven myself. I was still mad at myself.
That's one thing a lot of people forget. They forget to forgive themselves.
Yeah, you got to forgive yourself. Yeah. And once I forgave myself, I think that's when things
everything opens up from there.
Yeah.
Everything opens up. Twana, thank you so very much. You are very inspirational, and I really I look forward to your book, and I also hope that you also do stuff like videos and stuff on YouTube so that the rest of us can tap into it and learn from you, because it's very important, specifically for the Black communities. For Black communities, what you do is incredibly important, because it helps us to open up and push aside all those taboos and the secrets. The secrets, as you mentioned, the importance of that. So I'd like to thank you so much. And I think for you, this is a quote apparently from Winston Churchill, that apparently when you are going through hell, keep going, because ultimately if you take a lesson and wisdom from the experience, eventually you will find the light. If you give up, you have stopped seeking the light, and you won't get it. So I would like to thank you very, very much for joining us today, taking the time, joining us today, being so authentic and honest about your life and, and what you've done. And you're a prolific writer, so that's really, really inspirational, because people like me, we just lazy. But hopefully it will inspire me to move forward. So, listeners, we could have gone even more into it and gotten even more details from Twana, but that we've heard enough. There's enough for you to start working on. So a big thank you to Twana Lawler, and then of course a big thank you to AB and Danny, my technicians, who sorted everything out. We are on africaglobalradio.com. On Instagram and Twitter, we are at AF Global Radio. Facebook, Africa Global Radio. And of course, you can send us a WhatsApp on 020-706-4680.